Hello, welcome to another Gundam Version 2 video. That is the new suit, the Psycho Zaku Mark II, which I'm going to be honest, I had no idea there was even a Mark II Psycho Zaku, even though I've said before I don't know too much about Thunderbolt, but still, just hearing about that's like, wow, I kind of honestly expected more people to talk about that, but I guess, you know, people are just watching the anime, they probably only know just the main suits we have, like the Atlas, the full armor Thunderbolt Gundam, and the Psycho Zaku, right? Well, I guess then they really kind of technically did something with the Mark II in the anime, right? Something like that, OVA, whatever. But yeah, anyway, we do have a new suit here, and I do have two matches here for you. And yeah, I really try to get some good matches with the suit, and it wasn't because of the suit being bad. I think the suit is pretty good in certain areas, but man, I was just not having the best teams at all. I say best, not even just good. If you guys remembered me talking about it in the Thunderbolt Goof flight type video, yeah, it's been a lot worse. So I managed to get two matches here for you. This first one's going to be on Arctic Base. This is probably the best match I've gotten. I think I posted the stats on it on Twitter already. If you guys aren't there yet, it's at Aqua. But yeah, it's going to be on Arctic Base, and the next match is going to be on Trenches. And yeah, the Trenches was like these two matches are going to be like 30 matches apart. Yeah, not very fun. So. But yeah, let's go ahead and get right into the stats for this suit. Starting off, I can pull up these stats. You have 15,000. Oh, I should also mention your 500 suit. My bad. So you're a 500 suit and you're a raid. So you have 15,000 health with 15 ballistic and 14 beam resistance. You have 25 melee resistance. You have 10 range strength and 40 melee strength. You have 145 movement speed with 225 boost speed. 55 thruster gauge, and 78 turning speed. And yeah, for slots, you have 15 close, 17 mid, and 7 long range slots. Now, first thing that sticks out is that, yeah, you have low resistances for 500 even, like a 15 ballistic and 14 beams, so that's pretty low. You do have some decent melee resistance, you know, you can definitely buff that up a little bit more with the 25. You do have really low range strength, so obviously you're not going to be doing insane range damage. I mean, obviously with the the weapon loadout here we're going to talk about here in a second, you do have a pretty fast walking speed. There's not a whole lot of suits that go up all the way to 145, you know, unless, you know, of course, there's some suit that has a bunch of shields on them, you know. You also do have pretty good movement speed with 225, but yeah, you have really low resistances, and a lot of the builds I did for this suit, I think I have two I mainly used. One, I buffed up my beam and melee resistance, and I buffed up a little bit of my melee strength. And one, I built just for, I built melee, like 40 melee resistance, and I then did give myself 50-something melee strength, more of a melee-oriented build, right? While the other one was more of a general buff. Something I shared among those two builds was giving myself leg health. I think that's really important. I think one of them I gave myself a little bit more health, like it got to 16,000, you know, just because I had some extra part slots left over. So yeah, so far pretty flimsy in terms of health and all that. But yeah, now we're on to your primary weapon. Starting off, you have the, I don't know how to pronounce this, so I'm going to, forgive me, the Rakuten Bazooka, or Rakuten Bazooka. And that is 1,650 damage with 5 rounds and 300 range. And yeah, it's a believe this bazooka was all the way at 350 with, like, what, the Dom Tropin and the Zaku 1 GS, the Garrett Schmitzer. Yeah, so this is a 350 weapon. And yeah, it's a very basic, stunning bazooka. That's pretty much all there is to say to it. You shoot somebody and that has a blast radius, or, you know, you hit them with the missile itself, you get a stun. That's pretty much it. So yeah, bazooka. Next weapon here, we have the Mark II Heat Hawk Thunderbolt, or TB, which is 1,600 damage. And before we get into the melee here, something interesting about this melee is the combo modifier. Some suits do have modifiers where their damage gets lower for every combo. It turns out that the melee both melee weapons, spoiler alert for this suit, do actually increase after every swing, every successful swing you do on somebody. So that's actually really interesting to know, because that means if you continually wail on somebody, you will do more and more damage over time. So yeah, this suit starts off pretty low, 1,600 damage, but over time you'll start stacking it up. However, unfortunately, the moveset for this is it's the Zaku 2's Heat Hawk moveset, pretty much. I guess I should say just generic Zaku Heat Hawk. The diagonal, neutral swing is pretty good. Diagonal slash. The downswing is very, very vertical. Very easy, very hard to hit horizontally because yeah, it doesn't have very good width to it. But you have to be really close to somebody, and the side swings, yeah, good luck trying to hit those unless you're right up against somebody. So yeah, very, very short range, but if you do stack up the damage, again, you get more damage over time with this weapon for every swing. So yeah, it's fine. It's just a basic melee weapon. Next weapon here is the Cracker Enhanced Type. The Cracker Enhanced Type 2. They didn't even say Cracker Grenade, just Cracker, okay? And that's 1,800 damage with 1 round and 150 damage, or 150 range, my bad. And this is a pretty unique grenade where usually the grenades in this game, I'm pretty sure almost all the grenades that are thrown, not shot from your hips or anything, they do not instantly stun. Well, there is the rocket propelled grenades that the Dom Trope and I believe the Desert Zaku have, but I'm not sure if I would count those exactly as like being a thrown grenade. They do turn into kind of a reticle based missile afterwards, but this grenade actually does instant stun. It works like a normal ass grenade, except it has a little bit less blast radius, even though it's supposed to be a cracker grenade, which is funny to think about. It has not as big as a blast radius, and it does instant stun. And it has all the same properties of a grenade, which means, you can boost and toss the grenade at the same time, which is pretty interesting for approaching. Now, of course, you have to make sure you know how to correctly aim with a grenade while doing that. A lot of people aren't familiar with or aren't used to using grenades in this game, so it can be a little bit tough. But if you do learn, you can do a pretty good approach. Just boot. You will have to throw the grenade first. You do an animation where you pick it up and you throw it. While you're doing that pickup animation, you can go ahead and start boosting, and that way you can set up for combos. And if you do it really well, you can be right on top of somebody and go right into a melee. Another good thing about this as well is that you do have, to spoil some more stuff, you do have maneuver armor level 2, so this could be an option for you to avoid getting stunned while providing a stun for yourself at the same time. So pretty interesting. You only have 1 round, but it does reload pretty fast. Let me double check on that. Yeah, the reload is 10 seconds, which is it's fine, right? You can do all your other stuff, and then you'll come back to the grenade, right? So yeah, pretty interesting grenade here. Next weapon is the Heat Hawk TB ×2. This is 1,850 damage, and yeah, you have a double Heat Hawk. Now, this work again, like we mentioned with the original Heat Hawk. This does work the same way, where each hit will build up in damage. Now, the neutral swing is the same as the Zaku's. However, it doesn't have they're normal Heat Hawks, not big ones, so it's not going to be exactly the same in reach. So it's going to be a little bit shorter, but it is the same way it hits the animation. There we go. The downswing is actually, I believe, a unique downswing where you do 2 down slashes forward. You do like a lunge, a really fast lunge, by the way. Really fast lunge. You do 2 slashes downwards. And the side swings are the typical, I believe those are also on the Zaku's, and a lot of suits that do have the double weapons, right? They do hit twice in a row, and this makes it actually a really scary damage dealing weapon in close range, where let's say if you're a support, I believe this happens during the first and I think maybe in the second match, where yeah, I'll run up to somebody, after getting a stun on them, and just start wailing on them with the side swings. It builds up gross damage, very, very gross damage. Almost can one combo a support, depending on the resistances, of course, but yeah, you do have to be careful though, because the neutral swing, the down swing, I guess technically all of it's really easy to counter. I've noticed that with the Zaku Commander, where those kinds of the way they do those animations, they for me it feels like it's easier to counter. So you do be careful when you're using this, right? And of course, since it is a secondary melee weapon, you can combo this, do melee stun locks with the first Heat Hawk, right? And again, to spoil another skill that you have the ability to swing 4 times with each of your melee weapons. So yeah, you can build up great damage if you get consecutive hits off. Again, it's not going to be the best in every situation, but do be aware that you can definitely do that. Next weapon here is the MMP-78 machine gun grenade launcher, or GN, my bad, and that is 120 damage per shot with 50 range and 50 rounds and 300 range. And yeah, this is a pretty good machine gun, actually. I was expecting it to be a really almost like the Zuda F's machine gun, where it is slow, but not as slow as the regular Zaku machine. Actually, no, I think they might be the same, honestly. It's slower, I should say. I thought it was going to be a little bit slower, but no, actually, rapid fire is pretty fast. And out of the 50 shots, it does take, I believe, 12 to stun, which shouldn't be too hard as long as, you're not right in front of the enemy while they have a stun weapon for you. So, yeah, it's pretty decent little machine gun. It does say 120 damage on this, but you do have 10 range strength, so you're not going to get the best damage output from this, unfortunately. If you do get if you are hitting supports, you should be able to get at least consistent over 100 damage per shot. And yeah, again, 12 shots to hit. Be careful around damage control in maneuver armor suits, or actually just damage control. I guess the maneuver kind of counts in there as well, because obviously it's not the quickest if somebody is boosting up towards you, ready to murder you, but and of course, since this thing does have a grenade launcher as well, the MMP-78 grenade launcher, that is 1,000 damage per round with only 1 round and 300 range. And yeah, it's just a grenade launcher. That's pretty much it. You shoot somebody with it, you'll get a stun. Only 300 range, so it's like mid-range, right? This can be pretty good for comboing into some of your other stuns. The Rakuten Bazooka does have a long ready-up time, so maybe you want to start with that first and then go into the grenade launcher, or if you get a stun with your machine gun, you can follow up with this. If you're boosting with your grenade, you can follow up with this afterwards. If you get a stun. So yeah, it's just pretty simple stun. And now we are on to the skills. And for these skills, you have High Performance Balancer level 1, you have Assault Booster level 3, you have Maneuver Armor level 2, I believe that is 10% less damage while you're boosting, and of course, since it's Maneuver Armor, you can avoid getting instantly stunned while you're boosting. You have Force Injectors level 2, you have Melee Combo Controller level 3. Now, that allows you to swing your melee 4 times in a row. And that works for, you have 2 melee weapons, so that works for both of them. So you can technically get 8 swings in a row, and I guess technically since they'll be readied up after, you can kind of just infinitely keep meleeing people, so as long as you're not getting murdered meanwhile while you're doing it. But yeah, that's pretty scary when you just keep wailing on somebody, and your modifier makes it to where you do more damage, or yeah, just more damage every hit. So that is pretty terrifying to think about, where somebody can walk up to you and just start doing more and more damage to you the more they hit you with the same weapon. Pretty scary for supports. If you're a suit with a dodge roll, there is a chance you can get out of it and then try to fight back, but do be careful though. You have offense systems, so not only can you do these really long combos, offense system allows you to avoid stuns, like instant stuns, while meleeing, which is pretty crazy to think about, because you also do have another skill here. You have Heavy Attack. Heavy Attack is attached to your double Heat Hawks, and the Heavy Attack, it seems very reminiscent of the Zaku Commander's Downswing, where you kind of do this leaping swing downwards. But no, I believe you're kneeing in the air. You're kneeing in the air, and then you slam down with your Heat Hawks. It's a 2-part animation, and it's not the strongest Heavy Attack, to be honest. I believe it's on par with the Hazel 2's heavy attack, where it's considered on the weaker end, even though you can still get some really good damage out of it. It is considered on the weaker end. You're not going to be almost one comboing or one tapping, I should say, a general with like the Zaku Lines, right? Where the Zaku Lines can almost just kill a general flat out with its heavy attack, which is gross. But but yeah, you know, this thing has yeah, okay, we have a heavy attack now. So combine that with offense system, that's even more gross, because you can just walk up and do a heavy attack, and they have to be careful how they approach you, because they can't stun you immediately, right? Next skill is the power accelerator level 2. Basically, if you're in a clash, you can as soon as that animation ends, that cool looking animation, you can actually boost out of that animation, or after the bounce afterwards, and then continue wailing on the opponent. So again, very useful for this suit, having 2 melees and just all these other skills that can help it out, and just continuing aggression. I believe you saw that during the Arctic base match for this video. You have leg shock absorber level 3. You have flight control program level 2, so you can boost in the air. You have emergency evasion systems, so you have a double dodge roll. You have anti-blast stabilizer, so mobile suit explosions don't affect you. And you have special right shoulder armor buffer level 2. That is, I believe, 15% less damage on where your Zaku 2 shoulder is. The one that's supposed to be a shield. And yeah, that's it for the Psycho Zaku Mark II. And yeah, now we're on to the pros and cons. Starting off with the cons, because I feel like there's some pretty significant ones here. You have some pretty low resistances, and you know, lower health, 15,000 health, and though of course that's a really bad thing, where you can almost just get one combo depending on the generals that you might be fighting at 500. There's some pretty mean ones, you know, suits like the Hazel Custom, or some suits that can be like leg breakers against this suit, like the Marisai. You know, even the Marisai, I don't commonly see them at 500, but you know, to list an example of a suit that might break your leg pretty easily, right, or break your legs. So do be careful. For me, I definitely buffed up my resistances to avoid this happening, or at least I can survive as long as possible. Of course, you can throw that away if it's like Arctic base or something where you can go just full melee crazy, right? But yeah, that's a pretty significant downside. First of all, another downside is the melee weapons are very, very short ranged. I'm pretty sure it might have been in these 2 matches where I might have whiffed the downswing on the first Heat Hawk. The double Heat Hawk, they hit the neutral swing, as I said, is basically a shorter range version of the Zaku, but it's still pretty easy to counter, the same as the Zaku's. The downswing course, since it's a leaping animation, makes it easier to, or say lunging, should make it very easy for you to counter it. The heavy attack does have good reach though, so there's that, but it's also a 2-parter hit, and it's also one of the lesser damaging heavy attacks, of course. But yeah, those are the 2 super significant downsides I've had while playing this suit. Some other people have mentioned to me like the lower thruster gauge. To me, it hasn't been too much of an issue. It's mostly just survivability, and as I mentioned before, I've had some really dodgy teammates in these matches, and it really does not help having no resistances. You can't survive a whole bunch when, like, if I'm on a 2v1, my teammate just leaves me, and I pretty much can just die right then and there from 2 of the enemies just dogpiling me at the same time, like with simultaneous melee attacks, right? Yeah, I definitely get screwed over by that. Now for some pros. The pros are for this suit that I've experienced is that this suit is fucking like a berserker, dude. Like the 2 melee attacks, this suit is really gross at just doing that rush down kind of a pattern, right? Where you got somebody stunned. You have 3 instant stuns, by the way. That should be another pro, right? You do have really good weapons. 3 instant stuns. You have the machine gun and the 2 melee weapons. But yeah, back to that I was saying, where you can get a stun with either of those 3 stuns, and then you can just start going with your melee. And if they do a dodge roll, if they're a suit with only 1 dodge roll, and if they fuck up what they're going to do next to you, yeah, you can just kind of just keep juggling them. It's pretty damn gross. And as we said, the combo modifier makes it to where you do more damage the more consecutive hits you get. So, and you do have skills that really help you out in doing that, like offense system, maneuver armor, a lot of different kind of skills that can help you out in trying to get close to people and basically keep wailing on them. Now, it's not as effective as, say, the Sturm Gallus, where you can almost just one combo a general off of one stun, right? Obviously, this suit has to go a little bit more deep into its combo, which is not as good as the Sturm Gallus, but honestly, still being able to waste a opponent's options is still pretty good. You know, as I like to call it, checkmating them. You know, you waste their dodge rolls, you waste anything else they might have. Get them in line, start mailing them. Obviously, this suit has no issues with supports, generally speaking, because of its explosion-based weaponry. You do have to be careful around suits that have explosion resistances, like the Zusa and I believe the Gem 3, the Bulldog one, Gem 3 powered, the stuff of that nature, right? Of course, there's some other another good thing for this suit is that it does have a lot of good skills. You do have a double dodge roll, you have offense system, maneuver armor level 2. You have a lot of good defensive skills. I think on Twitter, I think I compared it to a Prince Rupert drop where it has amazing defensive options. But man, if you get caught lacking, yeah, you can get shattered really easily. So yeah, be very careful playing this suit. But yeah, I guess that will kind of wrap up everything here. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you do like it and subscribe if you want to. I'd really appreciate it. And type up in the other comment section how you feel about the Psycho Zaku Mark II. Do you like it? Do you hate it? And I'm gonna be honest, the times where I wasn't being extremely annoyed by the quality of the matches. I was actually having a lot of fun playing this suit. Honestly, a lot of fun. I don't typically play raids, but as you saw in at least the first match, I was actually doing fairly well for myself. So I can imagine that people who are more experienced in playing these kinds of suits, I can only imagine something like Striker Custom. This is the first thing that comes to my mind, right? I imagine those people probably have a lot of fun playing this suit. But I do think there are some stuff that, dude, I do think it needs a little bit more in terms of like defenses or maybe more damage in its melee, because it does feel very fragile. So maybe they can do something with that in the future for a buff. But in terms of other things going on with it, it is very interesting where how like the melee, you'll do more damage over time the more you combo with the same weapon, right? You can't boost and then go back to that weapon. It has to be like during the combo, right? After 1, 2, 3, 4, whacking them that much, right? So that I found that very interesting for that kind of suit to do. It's almost like a, I don't know why I want to compare this to the Sturm Gallus. A lot of people also want to compare it too, but something about it feels very familiar. Except a little bit more is going on with it. You got more stuns. To be honest, the suit does have a lot of good things going for it. Like I said, you got the 3 instant stuns, you got all those defensive options, fucking heavy attack, why not? But yeah, I do think it needs a little bit more either in defense or a little bit more in its melee options, maybe even more range, to be honest. Maybe that'll help it out, because you do have to get really close for some of your melee attacks, right? So, but yeah, that'll be it, and I will see you guys later. Bye.